Hey, I got a subscriber email the other day saying, what is Chicago blues? And you know, it's interesting because I've done a little bit of, I'm a bit of a historian on American roots music and the blues. I actually wrote a bluesicle about it called Ascension of the Blues. But we talked a lot about the Great Migration from the South. After the Civil War, there was after the Restoration and all that, a lot of people headed north, and a lot of them were great blues players. People like Muddy Waters, Howlin Wolf, and they ended up landing in Chicago because people needed to get up to the northern cities for work. And what happened is, what started out as, you know, like kind of country blues, which is a whole different feel, the kind of the rhythm and the intensity of the city, the big city of Chicago, you know, a lot of shuck and steel and all that kind of stuff, that energy brought into the music of the time the Chicago blues feel, whether it was, you know, ha ha ha, little Muddy Water sound, or Howlin' Wolf, or all the stuff that happened to Chess Records. And by the way, that's the music that actually inspired the Rolling Stones. If you look at some of their old footage they recorded at Chess Records in Chicago. So the real Chicago sound, as varied as it was, whether it was big city shuffle kind of stuff like that kind of thing. That's a little more sophisticated. Or if it was the raw, you know, the kind of there's that kind of muddy kind of stuff, Howlin' Wolf kind of stuff. But there's many different styles of Chicago blues, and I was fortunate enough to play with a guy named Jerry Portnoy, a harmonica player who played with Muddy, and he's on my first album, Bad and Blue. We did a track together, and man, that guy had the blues feel from Chicago. I lived near the Windy City when I was a kid growing up, so I used to go to the Ann Arbor Blues Festival and see a lot of the great, and also in Chicago, a lot of the great old blues guys, Otis Band, Otis Rush, like I said, Muddy, Howlin' Wolf, all those guys. And then later Etta James came to the forefront through Chicago. So I think every city has its own particular flavor, you know, and every area. When you're talking about, you know, Texas, every area has its own sort of sound. New York, more sophisticated. But the Chicago blues is definitely raw and intense and had a lot of street and soul and grit to it. So that's just my take on the Chicago blues, and I was fortunate enough to grow up right across the lake in Michigan. So my dad worked in Chicago, so I got to see a little bit of it. I got to play Buddy Guy's club, which is called Legends, and played my version of the blues. And I played the Chicago Blues Festival and Kingston Mines and a lot of places. But it's still a great city for the blues. And you know, the Blues Highway goes all the way around the country, and anywhere you go, you can hear different versions of it. But Chicago blues is definitely something worth, you know, going into, diving deep into, and checking out. So I hope you enjoyed that little commentary on blues, and we'll see you down the road.
My friend Jimmy has the coolest guitar lessons. Go to jimmydillon.com/free and get all your amazing gifts. He's the best. Roll, rock and roll. Stay awesome and rock and roll.